You know, we all live in the cloud, right? It's where we keep our photos, our movies, our whole digital lives, basically. But what if I told you the cloud isn't actually up in the sky? Not even close. Today, we're going to go deep, like deep underwater, to uncover one of the internet's biggest, most surprising secrets. I mean, have you ever really thought about it? When you send an email, say from here to the other side of the world, how does it actually get there? If you're picturing a bunch of satellites beaming your message through space, well, you're definitely not alone, but that's not really how it works. Not for most of it, anyway. Yeah, that popular image we all have in our heads, it's mostly wrong. The real answer is so much more incredible and honestly a little bit mind-blowing. And it's hidden in a place almost none of us will ever get to see. Okay, get ready for this. We're talking more than 95%. Just let that number sink in for a second. Over 95% of all international data, it's not being beamed from space. Nope. It's traveling through a massive physical network of actual cables, just lying there on the bottom of the ocean. So, it's time to meet the real unsung hero of our modern world, the submarine cable. I mean it. This is the actual, physical hardware, the real infrastructure that makes all of our global, instantaneous communication even possible. Okay, so what is a submarine cable network? Well, it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's this enormous web of fiber optic cables. And get this, some of them are no thicker than a garden hose, but they stretch for thousands and thousands of miles across the ocean floor, physically linking up entire continents. And that's why backbone is the perfect word for it. Seriously, just like your spine holds your body up, this network of cables supports the entire global internet. Without it, the internet as we know it today just poof, it wouldn't exist. It is the fundamental piece of the whole puzzle. So how does your data actually make this trip? Well, when you hit send on that email, it first zips over to a building on the coast called a landing station. There, your data gets converted into tiny pulses of light. And then, and this is the amazing part, those little light signals flash through these super thin glass fibers at almost the speed of light, all the way across the ocean floor to another continent. It's just mind-boggling, and it's happening millions of times every single second. Okay, so you're probably thinking, but what about satellites? Don't they do this too? And that's a great question. It's what most people assume. But when it comes to doing the real heavy lifting for global data, well, there is a very clear winner. And the difference is just huge. The best way to think about it is like this. A submarine cable is a massive, multi-lane superhighway for data. A satellite, it's more like a quiet country road. The cables can just carry an unbelievable amount more information. Plus, they're faster. Light travels much more directly through a fiber optic cable than it does making a whole round trip up to space and back down again. So for the insane amount of data we all use, cables are just way more efficient. And this really just says it all. Look, satellites are absolutely crucial, right? Especially for remote places or for broadcasting TV signals. But they just can't compete with the raw power and sheer capacity of this undersea network. For a world like ours that's so hungry for data, the answer was never up in the sky. It was always hidden deep down on the seafloor. All right, so let's just zoom out for a second and take in the big picture here. We are not talking about just one or two cables. We're talking about a truly globe-spanning network that is getting bigger all the time, connecting every single one of us in a very real, very physical way. So let's just recap the huge role this thing plays. It is the literal physical backbone of the global internet. It's what connects the continents. It carries pretty much all of our international data. It's the hidden engine that powers, well, everything, from the entire global financial system right down to your video calls with family. So seriously, the next time you're streaming a movie or video calling a friend who's halfway across the world, just stop and picture this for a second. Your voice, your face, all that data, it's being turned into light, and it's flashing through a tiny cable thousands of feet beneath the waves, just racing across the ocean floor. I mean, how amazing is that? And that kind of leaves us with a final big thought. Our entire digital world, which feels so, weightless and abstract, is actually resting completely on this very physical, very tangible backbone. And what does that mean for our future? It really forces you to think about the internet not as some fluffy cloud, but as a real, physical, and maybe even fragile global machine.